Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to 5 at 5. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about your car buying experience. And I want to hit the question that everyone has always been asking me, from friends to family members to just people I meet off and on, sometimes even in the dealership. Um, and that is, what would you rather do, lease or buy? So let's talk about buying a new car first, because that's the easy one. That's the one where it's like, hey, what do I got to do to buy this car? Well, you need money out your pocket or good credit. In a lot of cases, you want both, because 1 plus 2 equals 3. You don't want to have one or two and you don't have the other, right? You want to have both. So if you walk in and you've got a credit issue, let's get that out the way first, because that's the most controversial thing. Some that unfortunately may have had some credit issues. Maybe it was something happened in the past. Maybe you did have some bad choices when you were younger, or you just never were really taught how to, build your credit correctly. The best thing I can tell you to do is to, go talk to your local bank, whoever you have a bank account with, and talk to them about potentially being that first financing for you if you've never had credit. So the first thing I would want to do if I was someone who had struggling credit is I would reach out to one or two things: either my local bank that I bank with now, or a federal credit union that you may either have an account with, or they are open to open an account with you. You do want to make sure you give yourself a good 6 months to a year to establish at least a minimum with them before you start asking them for some form of a automobile loan. So credit is really the biggest thing that I can tell you. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know every single thing about credit that there is. That's why I want you to reach out to your local bank, credit union, and just try to walk with them, and they'll tell you these are steps that you can do to build that credit up. Keep that in mind. Credit is 100% the premier thing you want to look at first. But let's say you got good credit. We're going to go away from that. Credit is good. Now, what are my options? I can buy a car or I can lease a car. Well, if we look at buying, once again, we're on the buy side. What do you have? You got good credit, so we're going to give you the best interest rate out there for the car purchase. And that could be something like 0% interest for 60 months, which is a lot of car companies are doing that right now. Or it could be 1.9 or 0.9 for 60 months or 72 months, or maybe a little bit longer. So now that you know what you have, your option is this. So what you want to start looking at is what makes sense for your payment and your budget, and what can you afford. There are studies out there that say that you should always your car payment should never be more than half of what a bi-weekly check is for you. It should never exceed that. That's something. So for instance, if you made $1,000 and you brought home $1,000 every 2 weeks, your car payment should never exceed $500. Well, for some that's 100% correct, and others it's not, right? Because what if you live at home with your parents? You don't have no other bills and you're not going anywhere. By all means, go get you a nice car, because you're making $1,000 every 2 weeks. You bring it home after taxes. That's a really good paycheck, right? It's not perfect, but it's pretty good, right? You get $1,000, $500. You got $1,500 that I could spend on insurance and spend on car gas and oil changes, and then the rest of the money is you're staying at home with your parents. So whatever. You're staying home with your parents. Move out. Okay, so we're talking about $500 a month, right? So I just pull up my calculator here, and if you were gonna do 60 months with say, well, let's go with the best term right here, 1.89% financing. Well, let's go 0% financing. That means you could afford a $30,000 car. That's a really good deal. That's a really good car. $500 a month for 60 months. I can get a $30,000 car. Not bad. $29,500, $30,000 car. There you go. Now, 3 years later on down the road, I want to trade that car in because the new model came out, and all of a sudden it's so much better, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to have that car. So now you got to look at, what is it going to cost me to trade that car in, right? And then once I trade the car in, Am I in the positive or am I upside down? Well, most times at 3 years, you're probably breaking even. Now, this is where it depends on how much money did you put down on that $30,000 car. If you put zero money down, there's a good chance that you're probably upside down, where basically you owe more money on the car than is what it's worth. So if that $30,000 car was there and you traded it in, and all of a sudden the car is, valued at $21,000. I'm sorry, the car is valued at $16,000, but you owe $20,000. You're upside down $4,000. You're like, wait a minute, why is my car that's 3 years old only worth half of what I paid for it? Well, unfortunately, cars depreciate. Unless it's a specific type of model that comes out at a very, very low yield, something like a Corvette or something like a Ford GT500, something that they only make 500 of them worldwide, yeah, then your car is going to have a little more appreciation value in it. But if you made a car that they make 500,000 units of it, yeah, more than likely that car is going to be worth very little money at the end of that 5-year term. And I said very little, at least probably 30 to 40%. So it's not a bad thing. It's just, unfortunately, that's how manufacturers and cars and values go. So my benefits also with buying a car is I own the car. It is my car. I can do whatever I want to with it. If I want to pull off that lot and I want to drive up to, AutoZone and put some weird spikes coming out of the side of the doors and tint all the windows inside and out, and I want to put spinners on the wheel covers, doesn't matter. I can do that because I can own the car. It's my car. Leasing. So there are 3 things that you have to keep in mind when it comes to leasing. And the first thing is, at the end of the lease, you can either buy it, you could trade it sometime at the end of the lease or in the middle, doesn't matter, or you could turn it in. Now the last one is the most controversial one, and I'll explain about that one just a little bit. Let's look at the first option, right? I told you we could buy that car at the end of the lease. So instead of me paying for a $30,000 car at $500 a month on a purchase, now I can take that same $30,000 car and lease it and only be paying for a small percentage of that $30,000. So in essence, if I took $12,000 out of that car and I'm actually financing that, my payment is only like $289 a month. Whoa, $289 a month. Now all of a sudden I got more money in my pocket. I still drive the exact same car, but I'm saving myself some money by driving this $30,000 lease instead of a $30,000 purchase. So at the end of the lease, I want to buy it. This is going to be easy, right? I've been paying for $12,000. At the end of the lease, they said my car was going to be valued at $18,000. Okay, that's good. I go look up my car on Kelley Blue Book or wherever else it is, and the resale value and the trading value is $18,100. Oh, they right on the money. So I'm in the positive. Hot dog. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to refinance this lease. I'm going to keep it because I love the car and I want to do some changes to it, but I've been afraid to touch it because I'm leasing it. Okay. So now I go into the finance office and they put together a nice package for me. And instead of me getting that same low rate, now I've got to get the current rate at the current year. This is going to change. What I tell you today is going to be totally different tomorrow or next month or 2 years from now. So let's just say that great lease you had, lease rate, which is a very low money factor, now all of a sudden translate to a low interest rate because I still got good credit, right? We're not talking about bad credit at all. Still got good credit. Boom, I go in here and I pull it up and it's like, wait a minute, you give me 4.5% interest? Why you give me 4.5% interest? I got good credit. Oh, that's the best you can do on a 3-year-old car. Oh, okay, I got you. So in other words, my payment is now going to be $360 a month. Okay, that's not too bad. For 4 years? If I do 5 years, it goes down to $340. Okay. All right. Well, I'll do 5 years. So wait a minute. So I just took this lease for a $30,000 car that The first Jamal went and bought for $500 a month for 5 years. He's driving. He's got 2 years left on his deal at $500 a month. Ha ha, he's gone. Trade-in guy here with the lease, I would have paid 8 years on this car. What? 8 years? What? Really? That's crazy. Now that was just the first thing, okay? Right? Well, what about number 2? What if I trade the car in? Can I trade the car in? If it's a lease, I don't own it. Yes, you can definitely trade your car in. Here's the thing about trading in a lease. Most leases, there's one exception that I know of right now. There's only one, and I'm going to pick on them because it pissed me off. But anyway, the way the leasing trades will work, it's just like any other car, right? You call into the leasing company, you get a 10-day payoff. They give you that 10-day payoff. You take that 10-day payoff, you go to the dealership and say, hey, this is what my car is worth right now. In some cases, depending on how much money you put down, it's probably not that bad. And might even be in the positive, right? That's what we were. We leased our car. We basically walked in and we didn't put a whole lot of money down. We put a little bit of money down just to get our payment where we wanted to be on the previous car from the Mercedes. But oh my gosh, right? We're already there. So a good thing about putting money down on the lease up front is it can actually help you out when you go to trade in a car or potentially the last option. So this is the good thing, right? It's like, okay, I can trade in my car. All right. So what do I have to worry about with trading in? Absolutely nothing. A lot of manufacturers, when you get to that 6-month time frame of 6 months left on your lease, you start getting these little notifications in the mail or email saying, hey, your lease is about to come up. Here are your options. Here's what you can do. And if you read into those red lines and those between the lines of what they're sending you, a lot of times they're saying, why not go ahead and trade out now? We'll take care of your car. Go ahead and do it now. Go ahead and do it now. They're just poking you. Because it's like, hey, we'll give you X amount of dollars of lease cash. We'll give you X amount of dollars of recurring customer if you buy another or lease another car from us. You know, hey, there's a disposition fee at the end of the lease. Did you know there was a disposition fee? I'm gonna tell you about it in a minute. So yeah, they'll say, hey, we'll waive all that stuff. We won't charge you a disposition fee. We'll give you these credits if you go ahead and get into another car now. And that is 100% what a lot of people do, because it is the easiest way to continually give yourself a brand new car every few years. I love it. I absolutely love it. It allows me to experiment with different brands. It allows me to, change my mind after a couple of years of saying, you know what, I really wanted a sedan, but now I kind of want a coupe. Or I really wanted this SUV, but man, this is bad gas mileage right now in the economy and the gas prices are so high. I want to get out of this gas guzzler and get me back into a gas sipping sedan. So those are some of the advantages about having the lease, right? Being able to trade out early, being able to get out of that car early. So if you do a 3-year lease, 2.5 years into it, you're probably going to trade out or you'll be getting prepared to get those options ready to trade or to refinance it if you love it. Well, let's get to the last one, because the last one's the scariest one, and this is what really frightens people about doing leasing, and that is, by far, I want to turn my lease in. What's wrong with doing that? Well, once again, we're going at the best case scenario. You have been a great person with this lease. Your miles that you have are low, and this is perfect, right? All right. You knew about the disposition fee. You knew they're going to hit you with this $400 disposition fee at the end, and they say, hey, you got to pay us this $400 because you want to turn the car in. And you're like, but I leased it, right? It's like, didn't I give you money at the beginning to do this, and you want me to pay you another $400? Well, that fee is really for them to kind of take that lonely car and bring them back into the fray, get cleaned up and put it onto another lot someplace else so they can resell it. So they may even sell it to like a chain like Off Leasing, and they are a small chain in Florida, and they really have a nice little setup to where a lot of cars come in off leases. They buy them because they're low miles, they look good, they're good shape. They buy them, fix them up, and they basically sell them. So great. So why is it so bad? I got a disposition fee, right? That's it. And that's not all it. Your miles was great, right? Yeah, you had great miles. When the last time you checked your tires? The tires got a warranty. Yeah, tires got a warranty. They're fine as far as they're not busted, but they are worn down. Oh, can you tell me about these 2 dents on your side of your door? Or what about this scratch that goes from this end of the door all the way down to your bumper? How'd that get here? Okay, well, I'm gonna send out an evaluator who's gonna go in. He's gonna look at this guy through and through, in and out, and he's gonna tell you how much you owe for any kind of accumulative damages or incidents on the car. Wait a minute, I had no idea that was going to be a thing. They told me about miles. I kept my miles low. Absolutely, you did great. We appreciate it. But you got this other damage on here you got to be aware of, and we're going to send you a bill for it. All of a sudden, they start going through your car as if you are getting an exam to go into the military. The white glove treatment, buddy. And they go in and they look at if you got a dent that is bigger than a quarter. Ding. You got a scratch that's longer than 2 inches. Ding. You got paint fading. Ding. You got tire tread wear. Ding. You got seat damage. Ding. You got a smoke burn into your seat from someone smoking in your car one time. Ding, ding. All those things just keep adding up on you. That is the bad part about turning in a car at the end of a lease. So as much as a lot of people do it, and for some, they have no problems because they're already aware of it. They've leased before. Some leases are a lot more lenient, and then others are not. I'll give you one good example, and that is Honda. Honda is very, 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 very lenient with their leasing. So if you lease a Honda or Acura car, we've done several with them in the past. They are very forgiving, right? And they have a little small gap of, we're not going to ding you for every little small dent, scratch on their car. You know, if the tire tread's a little bit worn, but it's even, we can deal with that, right? They're gonna take care of that side of things. And that's if you turn it in. If you don't turn it in and you trade in the car or you buy the car, none of that's null and void. It's done. You have to worry about any of that stuff. It's only when you turn in your car am I ever going to have to worry about any of that stuff when it comes to, you know, disposition fees, when it comes to, you know, excess wear and tear, when it comes to over mileage. All of that is only for the last option that you have in the lease, and as if you're going to turn in your car and walk away from it to go get something else. So thanks again for joining me for another 5 at 5, and I hope that you learned a little bit more about, you know, the buying car experience, and I hope I was able to kind of help out at least 5 people, right? Just know a little bit more about leasing or buying a car. So with that, thanks again for joining me. I appreciate it. Please click on that like and subscribe button. So that's 2 times, ding, ding. If you hit it a third, then something goes away. So we don't want that to happen.